Hello friends, Neo Toy Story here. You better get strapped in because this is going to be a long and rough ride. Seriously, I am about to majorly nerd out on these mechanical pencils that I got the other day. To make a long story short, I was in CVS, I was making some impulse purchases along with something else, and I wanted to save some extra money, so I ended up kind of going a little crazy and buying 3 sets of mechanical pencils, and I was like, well, I think I will also do like a review for YouTube with these, because just to give you a little background, I'm a trained artist, been sketching and painting and doing all kinds of art stuff pretty much my whole life. I actually went to college and got a degree in graphic communications, and there was a lot of fine art and graphic design and stuff involved in there. So like I know my way around a pencil, and mechanical pencils are hands down my favorite drawing implement just because they give you so much control. And this pencil right here, which I've had so many mechanical pencils over the years, but this is one of these paper mates right here, and I only have one of these. I can't even remember when or how I got it, but it was just one of the random mechanical pencils that I bought, and it actually turned out to be my favorite for a variety of reasons. And anyway, so when I was in CVS, I saw another pack in different colors, and I was like, well, if that other one ever breaks, I'm gonna want my favorite mechanical pencil on hand. So I bought another pack, and then I saw the other competing brands, and I was like, maybe these are better in some ways, so like why not just try them all and see if there's something even better than what I've been using all these years. So I think these are pretty much like the 3 major brands of mainstream mechanical pencils that you could just buy in like a CVS nowadays. We got the Bic, pretty traditional, standard. We got the Uni-ball, which as far as I know, they've mainly focused on pens for a really long time, so maybe this is sort of their first foray into mechanical pencils. I don't know. Although this one had a really interesting feature, auto lead advance for continuous writing, and I was like, first I was like, okay, that's probably just some, ad copy, clickbait kind of, or buy bait to try to make the sale. Maybe it's bullshit, maybe it's not, but I wanted to try it out for sure. I mean, each one of these pencils has its own little kind of like hook, to make you choose it over the others. Comfortable grip, wider eraser, kind of interesting. Those grips do look pretty comfortable, but honestly, the paper mate has me sold so far. Those little like ridges on those rubber grips there. I'm gonna go over all this stuff in greater detail later on, but yeah, that's kind of cool. Real graphite lead. Usually they're like polymers nowadays, so that's kind of interesting. There's less marketing rhetoric on the Papermate than on the others. What does this say? Starter set. Okay, so that's just like whatever. Yeah, these other ones, break resistant, shock absorbing point, 10 leads, 2 erasers. I have to say, just in general, in terms of the packaging, like graphic design and stuff, they're all pretty comparable, they're all pretty attractive. The Bic one stands out the most to me because of that like fluorescent blue border and the bright orange Max. This is kind of dumb. I don't normally get into packaging and design stuff because honestly, you just strip off the packaging and throw it away. Price points are really interesting. So my preference, about $10 for 2, $5 a piece. Uni-ball's about $8, and that's $4 a piece. So we got one pencil's $5, another one's $4, and then the Bic here coming in way low at $6. So those are like $3 a piece. So you got $3, $4, and $5 respectively, basically per pencil. So that's kind of interesting. So yeah, this is sort of the introduction, and I just had the receipt here so you could see that I wasn't making up these prices. These are real world prices right here. Yeah, so that's the intro. I'm gonna break these open and then test them out and give my thoughts. One more little thing here I forgot. Of course, they're gonna just have the backs of these absolutely covered with information. So here it is. Just gonna do a quick scan here. Box tops for education. Bonus! Alright, so here's everything out of the box. Looking pretty good. The colors actually look a lot better once they're out from underneath that plastic. Each one comes with its own like little lead reservoir and erasers. This one I wanted to point out, the Uni-ball has these, and this was like one of the marketing selling points on the package, was these hexagonal erasers, which according to them give you like a sharp edge for like fine erasing, which yeah, I kind of buy that, although a round eraser also has edges depending on how you use it, so I don't know if that's a huge selling point. They use less eraser material than the other ones, so there's less volume of eraser. This one of course has these ridiculous like super jumbo erasers, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, so here's an interesting little side note. I popped the caps off of all of these and checked the lead that was already in the pencil, and each pencil had 2 leads already in it, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. Also, kind of hard to make out, but it tells you where they're made on each one. Basically, for some reason, they put the manufacturing mark on certain parts of the clear plastic. This one made in China, and the other 2 made in Japan. So that's kind of a cool little detail. I tried the eraser modules in each one, and one thing I was really worried about, because from my experiences with this Papermate pencil in the past, I'll show you, I don't know if this will translate, but I'm just going to give it a try to do the demonstration. So like, you advance the eraser by operating this little screw, and you can actually see the threads in there. It's pretty straightforward how it works. My experience, and this is the one flaw that I found in this pencil, is when you're erasing, the screw operates and the eraser goes back up into the body, so you actually have to hold that little threaded thing if you want to use the eraser, which I find kind of annoying. And so here's the new version, and I don't know if it's just because it hasn't been used a lot yet, but it seemed like the eraser was actually staying in position, so they might have like fixed that, although the action feels just as smooth, so I don't know why it wasn't doing that. The one with the hexagonal eraser, also a threaded design, although I feel like the threads are probably finer maybe than the other one. I'm not entirely sure, but the good news is it doesn't really seem to go up into the body no matter how hard or vigorously I'm erasing. And of course the one with the jumbo eraser with the fixed eraser, you don't have to worry about that at all, and this honestly is my favorite design so far, just in terms of erasers, because not only do you get a bigger surface area, which actually really is a pretty decent selling point, but you don't have to worry about it going in and out, and you can just use it as it is. However, the downside, of course, is that you're going to run out of eraser more quickly, most likely. One other little detail I wanted to point out here. Both of these are made in Japan, and if you look really closely at the feeder mechanism, that little white tube there, which is really easy to see in this all clear one, and then you look at it over here, it's basically the same exact design. So I think it's probably manufactured by the same company, and even though these are different pencil brands, they're actually using some of the same components, which is kind of interesting. Alright, so initial thoughts on the actual use of the pencils. So here's just a quick little gradient I did with each one and some text. And in terms of the actual quality of the writing slash drawing, so far, surprisingly, the Bic was my favorite. It had the lead. I'm just talking about the lead itself. It had an incredibly smooth consistency, and you can actually see that a little in the sketch, that it's actually, if my camera will focus, it's a little bit smoother. There's a little less granulization in the Bic lead. So my suspicion is that it's a Palmer, and the other two are real graphite. Although I think they're probably strengthened in some way so that they don't break as easily as just a raw graphite. Although I don't really know that much about how they manufacture these leads, but I'll probably look into that a little bit more thoroughly in a bit. Lead advancement was interesting. I discovered something that I never knew about mechanical pencils until today, which is that there's a reason that they feed a single lead into the pencil at the time of manufacturing, and put a spare lead in there. It's because if you just drop two leads in there and you try to feed them, they just get stuck, and one doesn't feed until the other one is basically all the way through the pencil. So I actually just had to take one out and put one in and feed it in, and then drop the second one in there before I could get it to feed properly, which was an interesting discovery from my point of view. Oh yeah, comfort in terms of holding. So this one has this lauded comfort squishy grip here, which, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna knock it. It feels great. It's got that wonderful gel kind of sensation to it. It's more squishy than just soft plastic, but it also has just enough resilience to make it feel kind of you have a lot of control. And my one complaint about all of these mechanical pencils, pretty much every one I've ever owned, is that the actual point, basically from the grip down to the little chuck there that holds the lead, the tip, whatever, is fairly long. And when I hold a pencil, my fingers are usually pretty close to the tip, about right where the threads are on here, instead of back here on the grip. So these grips don't necessarily work very well for me. That's one of the reasons that I actually liked the Papermate, was the grip kind of it doesn't really go down all that much lower than on the others. I mean, if you compare these, it's basically at the same point. But I don't know, it's always just felt because of those ridges, I get a little bit more of a better grip. I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to compare these more. Actually, the only mechanical pencil I really used religiously before this was a very old model, about 30 years old, that had no grip at all, no like comfort grip. This one, the Uni-ball, I have to say, it's like they tried to combine both of these together because it's got little bumps on it. Yeah, like little nipples all over it, and it's also kind of a squishy rubberized plastic or polymer. But I think it's too hard. Like it, yeah, and the little nipples don't actually provide a lot of grip. They feel fairly slippery. So nice try, but I think there needs to be a lot more like R&D in this particular one in the design, honestly. Otherwise it's fine. One thing I wanted to note here, which I also kind of just realized post facto, is that the Bic, these two have the little like side switch, which has become fairly ubiquitous in more like high-end mechanical pencils nowadays. But honestly, I feel like there's a lot of there should be a lot of controversy around this because it actually kind of disturbs the shape of the pencil, and it's like something under your hand. Like necessarily, if you're moving the pencil around, you might hit that little thing, which there's some issues there. I feel like in terms of aesthetics and ergonomics and whatnot. This one, it just has this old school style where you push down the back to advance the lead, which is I don't know. I guess I prefer that. Although when you're racing, you might accidentally advance the lead. So kind of a plus minus there. But overall, I think in general, I prefer this design because of the aesthetic. I'm actually really kind of amazed that I'm coming out in favor of the Bic at this point. Just for fun, I thought I'd do a little like under the hood inspection here and take off the tips of the pencils. And once again, all sorts of discoveries under here. So this is kind of cool. The Bic one, you can actually see the chuck, or the little pincher there that holds the lead in place. It only has two jaws, which I just found really interesting. I've never seen one with just two before. The other two pencils, the Japanese ones, they have a three-jawed chuck, which is pretty cool. Like a little like what looks like a brass ring around there, brass or bronze, I don't know. These are also kind of like, sorry, need to focus here. Free floating in the sense that they can come out of the pencil a ways. Definitely confirming my suspicions that the internal parts are made by the same company some point along the line, and it looks like the Bic, which is made in China, is the only one that actually has unique a unique mechanism inside, which is kind of cool. Potentially it could be better or worse than the other two, although they all seem to get the job done, so it's kind of a nitpicking at this point. Alright, so as for what you get here in the extras, it's kind of funny. This container, the Papermate lead container, is really big, but it only contains 6 leads. You get 2 erasers and 6 leads, plus the 2 in the pencil, so 8 total. With the Uni-ball, you get 2 erasers, and then you get 10 leads in this tiny little container, plus the 2 in the pencil, so 12 total there. And then with the Bic, you get 5 erasers plus the 1 in the pencil, so that's 6 erasers. And then you get 12 leads plus 2 in the pencil, so 14 leads total. And also the cheapest pencil, so I don't know. I mean, I haven't used any of these extensively except for the Papermate, my previous version of it, the green one. But I have to say, like, the Bic is being pretty competitive here. And in terms of the ergonomics and every other feature, it may just end up replacing my Papermate. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try these all out extensively, but lead quality, ergonomics, extras that you get with it, the old style bottom down lead advancement. There's just one thing left to cover, and that's the alleged lead auto advance feature that is one of these pencils has. So I'm gonna get to that in a second. Alright, so here it is right from the horse's mouth. Right seamlessly thanks to Chroma's auto advancing lead and shock absorbing cushion point. So I was skeptical at first, but you're about to see some magic right here. So here it is, and I'll be damned if it doesn't actually work. So let me just advance the smallest amount of lead that I can here and do a little bit of writing so that it's basically completely down to nothing. And we start scraping the metal into the paper, which is one of my least favorite parts. Just a little bit of rubbing going on there at an extreme angle. I'm actually kind of wondering if the vibrations alone of the use could advance the lead, because here's how this thing works. And this is super cool. Now watch what happens when I push down on this tip. I'm going to try to get a really low angle. The tip actually goes into the pencil, and by some sort of black magic of that little blue thing there, it advances the lead. And this is a real amazing feat of engineering. When you push down, it just pops right back out. Just the optimal amount of right. Like, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't have believed it. So here it is completely pushed in, right? In which case I need to do a little advancing. And there's basically no lead there. Now watch this again. And there it is, folks. So it is real, and it's amazing. So that alone impresses the hell out of me, and I think this pencil will definitely have a niche in my my pencil box for sure. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Neat trick, Uni-ball. So yeah, that's about it. I'll probably do a follow-up video. Oh yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to do actually. And I'll do it with the other colors because you guys didn't really get to see those. But I wanted to do like a pencil porn kind of thing here. So I'm just gonna, like, using my hand model hands here, I'm gonna give you some really up close and personal bow chickie wow wow shots of all the topology and finer little details here. I feel like I should be doing a voiceover in that, like, Twix commercial voice, you know? That really deep voice. This is like, oh yeah, or whatever. No, these are just mechanical pencils. Anyway, this one, the aesthetics kind of stand out in the fact that they're weird and very, like, retro kind of looking. I don't know, the way this, like, plastic stainless steel fusion is happening is kind of I don't know, not exactly to my liking, but focus. There we go. Yeah, you can see those nipples up real close there. I apologize for anybody becoming inadvertently sexually aroused while watching this video. One thing I wanted to point out here, Sorry, just excuse the wild camera usage. The little levers here, this is hard to film. The little lead advancement levers are quite different in these two pencils, despite them using the same internal mechanism. Also, the topology around the lever is interesting. This one kind of looks like a little battleship or something. It's an oval with sort of a gentle slope on it, and the curve, the cutout here is kind of conforms to the topology of the lever. And then in the in this one right here, very different lever, kind of like a shark's fin, just jutting out, and the topology is pretty wildly cut into the pencil there, which is a curious design decision, but you know, whatever. And last but not least, an old favorite enters the ring. I think there's one more thing I'm going to show here. This one, in terms of aesthetics, hands down my favorite. Like, I think they use some like really high quality poly carbide here. Carbide, is that right? Carbonate? Anyway, that like super strong, ultra clear plastic. Because optically, this just has an amazing like translucency and clarity to it in terms of the plastic, which I really like. I love transparency, especially with these pencils, because you can see everything that's going on in there. Like if there's a jam or a broken lead, you can see. I mean, I wish they made the lead advancement chamber, which I think is nylon. I wish they made that out of clear plastic so you could see everything. In fact, I wish they would just make 100% clear mechanical pencil with only like the metal tip being not clear. But yeah, aesthetics of this are really good. So yeah, the one last thing I wanted to show was I wanted to pop the caps off of these one more time. This one's pretty cool. You can do it one-handed, and show you like how the like the little locking mechanism that holds that cap in there. That's important to me personally. Just got the little little like knob bump system there to lock that in. Sorry, it's hard to film, hold the camera, and do all this at once. So let's move on to the next pencil. I think the magenta doesn't seem to film as well as the blue, so alright, yeah, that one's easy to pop off with one hand too. Let's see, have to focus in. I think, yeah, it's pretty similar, a little more elegant in terms of the topology there for that closure mechanism. Nice job on that. And lastly, the Bic, which kind of a all-around mechanism. The only that is, it has a little rings around here that clips it in there with it's got this one little plastic pin sticking up, nib, whatever, that makes it so you have to lock it in a specific direction, which is good because otherwise the eraser would just free rotate when you were using it, which would not be useful. That's a pretty small little piece of plastic there. So yeah, anyway, I think that's pretty much probably the most exhaustive technical review of these mechanical pencils you would ever see online that doesn't in any way really include an exhaustive review of how well they work over time. So I'm going to do that separately in the future, just like a catch-up quick thing, maybe like a 5-minute video like a year from now. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this and found it useful. I learned some cool stuff, and yeah, thanks for watching.